together forever, motorcycle diaries. Alright, so what we're going to do today on the 2021 Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 is I picked up a C Racer fairing. So I've looked around at a bunch of various fairings. There's an MK Designs has got one, there's another one out of Thailand, and the one thing that I didn't really like with those fairings is they extended the headlight bracket out. The headlight had to be extended out. So they kind of made, to me, they made the bike look a little more sort of front heavy or nose heavy. Whereas the C Racer fairing here that I've got, this one seemed to fit, I think, more ideally, more snug with the factory location of the headlight. So, I've just unboxed this one from C Racer. I put all the bolts and fittings into this one container so that I can keep track of them, so that I'll lose them for sure. Anyways, this is the fairing. They only come in black. That's the only color that they come. They're just straight out of the mold, black plastic. So they've got to be painted. The windshield is, actual screen is here. There you have it. That's the fairing. So that's going to fit like so. I'm going to have to figure out a way to extend the signal lights. As you can tell here, they're tucked in a bit more. So now I've got a couple options for the signal lights. I'm either going to extend them out, or alternatively mount them to the forks. So we'll see. I'll figure that out as we get to mounting the actual fairing. It's quite lightweight. There's not much to it. What does it say here? C Racer, made in Greece. So it's all the way from Greece. Anyways, what we've got to do, of course, now is I was going to take it to a paint shop. Priced it out. They wanted around, I don't know, $300 at a body shop to paint it, and I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. So what I've got here is I got some primer, black. This one's a Canyon black satin, sort of a dull black. What my thoughts are, I want the inside of the fairing black, and then the outside in the white, the Ice Queen. So, so the paint code for the Ice Queen white, which is also the paint code for the Baker Express white, is RAL 9010. I went to my local auto body shop, and they package it in a spray bomb for you for, I think, $40. Canadian though, so in the States it's probably, $20 or something like that. Anyways, primer, and then the black. So, alright, so first thing we've got to do, of course, is clean and prep the plastic. I've never done this before, so I've just taken the advice from my local paint shop guy, who seems very knowledgeable about all things paint and plastic. So the biggest thing was to clean off the plastic. They say there's going to be a mold release, so I'll clean that off properly, and then buff it with a Scotch-Brite pad just to get rid of some of the sheen and have a proper surface for the primer to adhere to, and then we'll paint it. So come on along as I paint up the fairing. I'll show you some snippets of that, and we'll see. All right, so we're back in the house. What we're going to do now is I'm going to wash the fairing off with some soap and water, and try and get any of the release edges. And they say to use as hot a water as you can handle. So I've got some good hot water and some soap. And I'm just going to give it all a good scrub. Washed it off with hot soapy water and give it the rinse, some hot water. Next up, what I'm going to do is give it a bit of a wipe down with some alcohol to further. Once it's dried off here, I'm going to give it a wipe down with some alcohol. Again, give it a good wipe down with the alcohol. What we're trying to do here, of course, is to give a good surface for the paint to adhere to. The last thing you want to do after putting all the time and effort into it is have paint flake off. Okay, so I've gone over the fairing now with some alcohol to further remove any residue. Now I'm going to use my gray Scotch-Brite and go over the whole fairing and try and get rid of the sheen. As you can tell here, you can see the shine, and then when you go over with the Scotch-Brite, that'll remove the shine. So what I'm going to do is go over the whole fairing with the Scotch-Brite to get the surface ready to take the paint. Then I'm going to do a complete clean again, just because there might be some residue or some gunk in the Scotch-Brite. I'll do the clean again with the soap and water and alcohol, then we'll be ready to prime. Alright. I don't want to go too crazy on it to damage it at all or scratch it, so I think that's pretty good there. So it's all new to me, so now I want to wash off. Once over with the tap cloth to get any to get it from all the angles here. Alright, so we got 3 coats on the other side. Alright, so we're about to do 3rd coat primer. Go. Alright, D number 2, the primer's set up. I'm going to get the first coat of the black on the inside of the fairing. Okay, coat number 3 on here. Alright, so I've got 3 coats on the inner side, and I've masked it all off. Now it's time for first coat with the
Hit it.
Alright, so here we are now. It's been a bit of an ordeal painting this fairing, I gotta say. So it took me 3 attempts to do it, but what I did initially was I had the paint coat, had a can of paint made up by a local paint shop, and color-wise it didn't seem too bad. But it wasn't, I couldn't get a nice finish on it. So what the guy suggested I do, he said that I did too light of coats. So I did light, 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 rather than going sort of a light and then a wet coat. I did too many light coats, so I kind of messed that up. So had to wet, dry, sand it with some 600 grit, and then clear coat over top, But the problem with that, of course, was that the clear coat ended up being yellow. The clear coat the guy sold me ended up being yellow. So then I was getting a little frustrated and a little choked at this guy. So went to our local parts store and picked up another batch of paint. So you can see here, these are the cans of paint that I've gone through. That's the spray bomb with the factory paint that had put in there, and the clear coat that ended up being yellow. Of course, then there's primer, then there's the black for the inside of the frame. So what I ended up getting was duplicates original Ford colors. Just sort of wandering around the parts store and eyeballing things and matching it up. But anyways, it's CFB MO335 Performance White, they call it. Came out pretty good, actually, so I had to spray with that. Did about 4 coats of that, and then some acrylic lacquer clear coat on top, which seemed to come up pretty good, of course. Better than I expected. Not as good as a factory job, but there's no runs. The finish on it isn't so bad. It's good. I'm quite happy with it. So now what we've got to do is mount it up. I should also state, I guess, what I've done is, as you see here with these signals, is I've extended them out so that they'll clear this bracket and clear the fairing when the fairing is installed. So they'll go like that. I'll put a link in the description to these signals. I'm quite happy with them. They seem pretty decent. As you can see, they're quite bright. Yeah, quite happy with those. So what I did was I ordered a 10 millimeter hollow sleeve, and then just took a drill bit and just drilled it out a little bit. Then JB welded the one shaft into the other, and then ran my wires down through it and mounted it like that. So that's where we're at with that so far. So now it's time to get the fairing mounted up. Now I will say that the instructions from C-Racer aren't the best or the most intuitive instructions that I've ever seen. But anyways, bear with me and we'll mount it up and see how it looks. So first off is these two acorn nuts have to come off. And C-Racer gives you a spacer. I think it's about a 35, no sorry, not a 35, a 17 millimeter spacer to go on here. Now, this will carry on with the washer. So this spacer goes like so. That was one of the reasons why I picked the C-Racer fairing as well. Was I really liked the way that that they mount. There's 4 points to mount. It's 2 here, and then 1 on each side of the headlight. So there's 4 spots where it actually mounts up. I'm just going to put this guy on as well. Okay, so that's that guy there. Now, these brackets from C-Racer come with those sort of nuts that mount into the brackets. So they have to go in like that. And then the fairing bolts will mount right into it. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in here. So these angled ones, each of these gets mounted like so. Okay, so from the factory, this comes with a metric 6x18. They called it an adapter. It's just this threaded sleeve. Now, on one of the forums that I'm on, the person there was saying that what they'd done is they bought 2 of these and stuck them together, and in order to tilt the fairing forward a bit to then have the plexiglass windshield clear the gauges more. With it down, the gauges were partially obscured by the plexiglass. You could see through it, but it was a bit of an issue. So what I've done is I picked up, and I'll put a link below, I picked up two of these metric 6 by 10 by 35 adapters. So what that does is that drops the fairing down a bit, then as a result, of course, lifts the windshield up a bit. So I put those on. I'm going to put it together using those, and I'll try it. If I don't like it, or if I find there's, for whatever reason, it doesn't work, then we'll pull it off. But that's what we've got on there right now. So like I say, these brackets here, you don't want to tighten up any of these brackets right now because you do have quite a bit of movement when you're installing the fairing. So I'll put the fairing on lightly right now, and then we can make some final adjustments down the road. Like I say, the other thing too to remember is that the fairing is plastic, so it is quite flexible, and you can manipulate it around a bit, or bend it, or whatever you feel. That's it. Like I say, it is quite flexible. So I did the far side. I'll do this side here. So one of the reasons why I went with this fairing is I really like the fact that it wasn't set out too far from the headlight. A couple of the other ones that I looked at, you actually had to extend the headlight out, and I just didn't really like the look of it for me, but to each their own. So I'm just going to get this guy started, and then we'll snug it up some, as you can see inside here. There is some movement. So this guy down here. This is one of those projects where I started. I really wish Sea Racer would supply these painted, even for an extra $50 or something. I'm sure they could have some factory colors painted, and I think that would be a lot easier for the do-it-yourselfer. Most body shops, I think, are quoting around $300 to paint it, which $300 to $400 to me seems excessive, but I guess that's what body shops charge nowadays. I'm quite happy with the way it turned out, though, using the spray bombs. There is a bit of a gap around the headlight, which is good, I think. So I'm just going to tighten these in place, and I'll get right back to you. Alright, so I had to do a couple sort of back and forths, and fairing on, fairing off, fairing on. So what I came up with was the bracket. If you look from the top down here, these brackets angled like that, and the ones on the headlight bolt there basically straight down. So now we'll mount up the fairing, and hopefully everything will be good. Okay, so once get them all in place, then just slowly tighten them up equally so you don't put any too much stress on one side. The vision of the gauges. And yeah, if you want to have a look here, you can see going down the mounting there, and then and as well down there. If you've got your stock headlight mount on the Enfield, it's probably going to be a lot easier to do. I think mine was a little more difficult because I have a different headlight bracket. I almost at one time was thinking I'd go back to the stock one, but there's an even gap around the sides of the headlight, which is good. Now I'll put the plexi on and show you guys what's what. Be right back. Alright, so got it mounted up and got the windshield attached. The windshield is awesome. It's super. It's really thick. It's really decent. So yeah, there we have it. The Sea Racer Cafe fairing. As you can tell by boosting it up a little bit, using those spacers, it does bring the windshield up just a titch, and so yeah, makes it good. And then from the distance here, wish the weather was better outside. I could take it outside and show you guys from the side. There you have it. Sea Racer. Signals are showing from the front, no problem. That's good. It's quite a solid fairing once it's all attached. I don't foresee any problems with it or issues with it at all. But yeah, once again, guys, thanks for watching Lost Together Forever, Motorcycle Diaries. Thanks for joining us on our journey with this Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. And stay tuned, we've got some more videos coming. You guys can get a chance. We'd really appreciate it if you'd give us that thumbs up if you like this video and the content that we're doing. And please subscribe as well if you could. We're hoping that we can hit 1,000 subs this year, I hope. But anyways, yeah. Thanks again.